Well, thank you for that weather, Devin. We appreciate it. And as always, we're very excited to have Nurse Christina Paris on this morning. And according to the CDC, drowning accounts for at least 360,000 deaths annually worldwide, including approximately 5,400 deaths annually just in the United States.
That's some
Devin.
crazy stats there.
That is a lot of drowning right there. And here to help us talk a little bit more and have a little safer summer is Nurse Christina Paris. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here as always.
Oh yeah, it's always a good Tuesday when you make your way into the studio.
Hey, thank you.
But Devin, I think I've heard about dry drowning, and what is that exactly, and how is it different than normal drowning? I just don't know the difference here.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So there really is no such thing as dry drowning or wet drowning or secondary drowning. They have it classified as either fatal or non-fatal drowning. So what a lot of people refer to as non-fatal drowning or dry drowning, as you've probably heard, is when, like, say you fall into the water. We see this happen, with kids, but you're able to get them out right away, and they cough and sputter, but they're able to breathe and get the water out. Sometimes they don't get all of the water out, and that can sit in there in the lungs. It can create bacteria. It can create a lot of inflammation, and you literally drown, but you're awake. So it's just something that I thought would be important to bring to people's attention because it was something I wasn't really aware of. And then I got a call this week from a patient who said he had been fishing and he took a few steps and slipped under the water. He got stuck under a tree. He's like, I nearly drowned and my lungs hurt. He goes, it was a couple of days later. He's like, I can't get the water out. I can't cough it up and my lungs really hurt. So of course I said, you need to go to the ER like right now. Don't pass go, don't, you need to go. So so it is really serious.
Yeah, that definitely sounds very dangerous there. I mean, regardless of the situation there, whether it's getting stuck under something or some that don't know how to swim either. And really, I mean, who's really at risk for drowning? And what are the symptoms that people should be watching out for with regards to drowning? Well,
you named it right there. So people who aren't really good swimmers.
Right.
We have to watch, little kids, people who are really risk takers. Alcohol and swimming don't always go. Drugs, marijuana, things like that, and swimming don't go well together. People with seizure disorders, hypothermia. I know we sadly just heard about the family up in Door County, Lake Michigan, and even our lakes here are not that warm.
Well, and like the 50s or 60s. So
so you really can run the risk of hypothermia where you kind of fall asleep and just, it can be very dangerous. So the things you want to watch for, I know they had the symptoms up, if they wouldn't mind just putting them up again. So vomiting, you might kind of have some coughing, like I said, trouble breathing. If your little one did have one of those episodes where they fell off the dock, you were able to get them out of the water right away, but they were coughing and sputtering. Now, a couple of days later or the next day or even later that day, you're noticing they're a little more tired. They continue to cough. Their skin looks kind of bluish. Maybe they're seeming a little more irritable or having confusion, trouble speaking, changes, like I said, in the skin color, those kind of things. Then you want to get them to the ER. These are life-threatening emergencies, and this does happen where little kiddos, a couple days later, really have these serious respiratory problems.
Interesting. Well, that's certainly, important to be on the lookout for right there. But do you have some safety tips for us to prevent these sort of accidents from happening in the first place?
Sure. So the first one is, really preventing drowning to begin with. Always keep your kids kind of at arm's length. Block any access to swimming areas. Never let the kids near pools. And even those little tiny plastic pools or blow-up pools or just a couple of inches of water, you can still drown in that. It doesn't take much. They found that, when they have done autopsies and stuff on drowning victims, the amount of water actually in their lungs is really a small amount. It's not, completely full. If you live near the lake, on the lake, have a hot tub, things like that, you might want to put an alarm system on your doors so that if the toddlers kind of sneak out. And those inflatable pools or plastic pools, tip them over after you're done playing. You know, I know over the weekend I was out with our grandson, same thing, we emptied it, you flip it over, make sure that all the water is out. Because even after rains like we've had, you know, that can fill up those pools too, even if you empty it. So flip it over. Toilet bowl covers, make sure those are down. Now, the other thing you want to do is recognize when you see someone in trouble. So recognize the signs and watch for that. Make sure you provide flotation devices. Make sure the kiddos have their life jackets on. You want to remove somebody from the water right away and start CPR. And it's surprising the amount of time someone can be underwater and still survive a drowning or near drowning incident with CPR. So call 911, get that person out, and don't delay care, because even though you might think, well, gosh, it's been a few minutes, this person's under, you know, they can't be saved. You'd be surprised, and you always want to attempt.
And maybe get trained on CPR too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Knowing CPR is critical.
Well, fantastic. You know, always good to be aware and, you know, keep a lookout, especially when you're around water, just to keep safe this summer.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
Thanks for coming on in this morning. Nurse Christina Paris, always a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks. Yeah, glad to be here.
All right, and coming up, we have What's Trending.